GT4 European Series supports Project Mine.
Round 4 of the GT4 European Series comes to you from the south of France with the smell of lavender and the fresh sea breeze in the air. A great place to unwind with a towel on the beach or a glass of wine. A little away from the sea, the air is heavy with the perfume of petrol and rubber. It's the town of Le Castellet, home to the famous Paul Ricard racetrack.
This week we'll look in depth at the Paul Ricard track. We'll compare 3 cars competing in the GT4 European Series and of course both races from the south of France.
One of the front runners in the GT4 Am Class unfortunately isn't with us this week in France. Lotus driver Fabien Lauder explains why he won't be on the grid in Paul Ricard.
After the accident in Spa-Francorchamps, we had several meetings with the team, and in the end we decided to stop the season at this point because the costs of the reparation of the car are just too high to continue the season.
It was a huge crash, but fortunately the Austrian is fine.
Physically I'm okay. 1 week ago I started cycling again with the mountain bike, and yeah, it took me a while, a lot of work with my therapist, but now I'm fine again.
Lauder's onboard camera shows what a massive crash it was.
I tried to overtake the Porsche in front of me, and when I was next to him, there was the Aston on the outside. There was a yellow flag, which I saw quite late, and then I hit the brake slightly and wanted to turn back into the slipstream of the Porsche, and then I got a heavy hit in the rear from the BMW, and then I flew off, and from that time on I don't know it anymore.
We haven't seen the last of Lauder in this championship.
I would love to be back. I don't know yet. I have to discuss it with several sponsors, but I'll do my best to sell one season in GT4 series again.
The motor neurone disease ALS has been prominent in the public eye recently, courtesy of numerous ice bucket challenges. Of course, the GT4 European Series wasn't going to lag behind. Their ice challenges came on an epic scale.
Hello, my name is Braams, race series coordinator of the GT4 European Series. We are here standing, all participants, with the Ice Bucket Challenge. Hereby I'm going to nominate the SRO Motorsports Group, ITR and Creventic.
And since they're already wet, why not get a little wetter?
Paul Ricard is one of the most modern circuits in Europe. The long Mistral Straight and the huge run-off areas make this a favourite among car manufacturers and drivers. Rob Savers, who competes in the BMW M3, introduces today's layout.
We're coming from the straight down, and then we go to the left, directly right, and then we go downhill, and we have a nice combination of some corners. First to the right, then we go back to third gear. We hold it in third gear and go to the first right. Then we got a double right-hander, and then to the left, that's in the fourth gear, and then we got a long straight after that.
Paul Ricard is known for its long straights, ideal for high-speed testing.
We are on Le Mistral. It's a straight of 2.8 k's, and we're coming here down here with 250 k's an hour, and then we got a straight to the left, directly right, Then we come here on the straight. Then we got a really fast corner. We go here around here with 200 km an hour. And we go with 2 tires on the curbs, and on the other side we are going on the straight. We're coming down here with 220 km an hour. We go back to 4th gear. Then we use the understeering and the banking of this corner. We go back to the 3rd gear. And then we got the double left-hander, and we double apex kick with 3rd gear.
From this point onwards, it's an easy 3 corners to go. And then it's flat out to finish the lap.
Beautiful sunny conditions at Paul Ricard for round 8 of the GT4 European Series. Could not be better. It's going to be hot inside the cars for the drivers. Daniel Roos on pole position in the Alfab Aston Martin with the engine up front and the heat running all the way through the car. He and Simon Knapp here, who starts on the outside of the front row with their front engine cars, are going to be especially hot. And a huge furnace at the front of the Chevrolet Camaros isn't exactly going to be cool either. Joris Verheul will start 3rd on the grid in his GT4 car. Daniel Roos paces them in the Aston Martin. Away they go, and a great start by Duncan Heisman as he jumped the start. The Camaro takes the lead from the pole sitter. Camaro 4th on the grid, and right behind Daniel Roos is the 2nd Camaro, so they got a really good run down the back straight into the first corner. Simon Knapp in 4th position from 2nd on the grid. Not a great getaway for the front row men. They were jumped by the Camaros on board with Ricardo van der Ende, rushing down into the first corner. Ginetta G50 Cup cars around him, and Rob Savers as well in his BMW. Got to be very cautious in the first lap or two. You can make up places, but you can so easily ruin your race. Down to Senior at the end of the long Mistral straight they rush, and there you can see the Porsche under pressure. Bertus Sanders being harassed by the number 1 car. Ricardo van der Ende cutting his way through the field. Up the inside he comes. Into the long right-hander at Beausset. Those bright stripes at the side of the track, incidentally, are highly abrasive. If you go off, they slow the car down fast, but they ruin your tyres. There's the race leader out front, Duncan Heisman, rushing away in the Chevy Camaro. Building a huge lead as Simon Knapp in the number 8 Racing Team Holland BMW comes under pressure from his teammate Ricardo van der Ende. Bertus Sanders in the Porsche coming under pressure from the Ginetta G50 there. These cup cars are really flying on the high-speed test track at Paul Ricard. Really flying too. Ricardo van der Ende dives by Simon Knapp into the 2nd chicane on the long Mistral straight. Nervous co-driver waiting. Who's this? Oh, it's Erik Behrens waiting for the Aston to come in from 2nd place. And that's happening now as the leader peels off into the pit lane. Duncan Heisman and Daniel Roos follows him in. That leaves Joris Verheul out front for the moment as the pros do the first part of the race. Bernhard van Oranje then in the BMW and ready to head back out in the number 1 car. Meanwhile, Heisman's co-driver is out. Luke Braams with the lead at the moment from Erik Behrens in the Aston Martin, but there is the man who leads on the road, Joris Verheul, yet to stop. He's going long, and that's a good strategy perhaps. Meanwhile, the battle between the cars that were 1st and 2nd continues. Behrens in the Aston Martin up the inside of Luke Braams into Senior. That's a real hang-on corner there still. And it is the Aston that moves in front of the Chevy Camaro. And they have stopped, so this now will take them through to the end. And what's this? Oh, we're seeing a replay. Luke Braams getting it wrong in the 2nd chicane. That's why the Aston had the run on him into Senior. Joris Verheul has handed over to Marcel Nooren. This now the battle for 2nd place. Chevy Camaro versus Chevy Camaro. Luke Braams under pressure. Nooren up the inside. Braams runs out very wide to give him racing room. Well, that was clever driving, but Marcel Nooren is up into 2nd place. Bernhard van Oranje, the next to come calling. The BMW all over the back of the Chevy Camaro. And in these temperatures, it's not just the men that will be struggling, the tyres will be too. Looks like the BMW's got a little more grip. Through goes Fanny, so he's up to third place. And the car that led the first part of the race is now off the podium with a slew of Ginettas chasing. Luke Braams very busy, so is his wife Liesette. This is the lead of the Am Class. She's been clumped on the inside by André Grammatico. The Frenchman takes the advantage. At the front of the field, the GT4 cars and the G50 Cup Ginettas battling away. Marcel Nooren with a dice on his hands. He's challenging Jesse Antilla in the 888 car. And facing the wrong way is the Aston Martin Erik Behrens, the 007 car, out of the lead. And here's why. Chasing the throttle and then backing out of it. In these hot conditions, the tyres really struggling with the amount of horsepower they have to transmit. Luke Braams with Peter Christian van Oranje right in front. See how much understeer now the Chevy Camaro has got. Oh, he's never going to make it. He hits the BMW. That was clumsy into the final corner. Well, the reverse angle doesn't make it look any more clever. I wonder if he had trouble stopping as well as steering with those worn front tyres. Either way, gave the BMW a good thump. And the Ginetta squeaking through. Three-way battle for the lead into the last couple of laps. Marcel Nooren in the Camaro running out of tyres behind Jesse Antilla, the pale blue car, and Manuel Lasagna, the red machine, and Nooren just trying to hold the line, but it's not happening. The Ginetta slips through. That's Antilla, the Finn, into the lead. And in the last few corners, as they head to the checkered flag, having a lunch, Manuel Lasagna, it's going to be a drag race to the line. Antilla's going to win it, but what is going to win out? It's not the grip of the Ginetta. Second place, the horsepower of the Camaro. Marcel Nooren takes the spot, but it is victory for Jesse Antilla and Salvador Tineo Arroyo. Well, they, of course, win the G50 category too. Joris Verheul, Marcel Nooren win the Pro Class, and in the Am Class, it's victory for Frenchman André Grammatico. Well, time to hear now from our Aston Martin duo, Daniel Roos and Erik Behrens.
I pushed on the first lap quite hard, made some mistakes, and I think maybe I overheated the tires. It was so slippery. I tried my best, but yeah, in the right corner I span off. And hey, the BMW came also before, so we had a third. So for me, the second place is still fine. We have to win next race.
After the break, we'll take a closer look at three cars competing in the championship. And of course, race 2 from the south of France.
GT4 European Series supports Project Mine.
Welcome back to the GT4 European Series. Round 4 comes to you from Paul Ricard in the sunny south of France. In a while, we'll see the second race of a scorching weekend of this legendary high-tech test track. But first, we'll start with a little get-together of some of the GT4 competitors.
We all know the BMW M3 and Chevrolet Camaro, but Porsche, Aston Martin and Ginetta are not only competing, but they're competitive too. Let's compare the three.
Driving a Porsche 997 GT4 Cup. It's a car originally built as a Carrera Cup car. It's spec'd down a little bit to GT4. We have a smaller rear wing, a little less horsepower, but still the 3.6 liter engine and rear-wheel driven car.
The engine is 3.5 liters. The car have 350 horsepower. It depends on the specification of the engine. You can have for the long race 380 horsepower. There is no ABS. There is no assistance for the steering wheel. You have the gearbox without any help to drive. So it's like an old stylish car.
It has an engine of 4.7 liters. It's V8 and about 450 horsepower.
The best point to drive Ginetta is the corner, because the car is light and the speed on corner is very high. From the middle corner you can go on the throttle when you want, that the car is stable. You don't have oversteering or understeering.
Advantages of that car is Definitely the speed on the straights, one. Second, we have lots of torque getting out of the corners, so late braking and early on the throttle.
A good car in many ways, not the fastest and so on, but in total, as we think, and together with Aston Martin, we show that today it can be the fastest.
Weaker point is the maximum speed and the braking point, that because we don't have ABS, and so we have to be a little bit conservative on the braking point. And then the maximum speed, we can arrive at about 220 to 130 kilometers in the fast track. Here we pay about 15 kilometers from the other car.
With the engine in the rear, we have lots of weight on the rear, and once you get tire wear out, which is very quickly, most likely to happen very quickly, we get problems in the long run. So at the beginning of the race we always have very good performance. Towards the end we really struggle.
Ginetta cars, first of all, is a very cheap car to race, and it can help you to learn how to drive a racing car, because you don't have any kind of help. Compared to the other cars, it's very consistent on the long stint, because the tire, you can do your fast lap and then have a constant about 5, 6 tenths slower, but the car till the end is very consistent.
It's of course always tricky to drive in the wet, and mostly with Aston due to the gearbox. The gearbox is maybe the little bit of a weakness. It's a standard gearbox, it's not a sequential, so it takes a little bit time to change, but when you accept it and live with it, it's also totally okay.
On the wet is wonderful. I hope every weekend that could be rain, because on the wet the Ginetta is the first car, overall I think, overall.
Sweltering conditions again at Paul Ricard as we get ready for the second race of the weekend. Ekris Motorsport on pole position in the GT4 class in the Aston Martin, resplendent in its silver and chrome. Jörg Viebahn second in the Porsche. He and Bertus Sanders, of course, raced a Ginetta in the first race weekend in Misano before the Porsche was ready. Marcel Nooren third on the grid. Chevy Camaro. Well, both Chevys made a great start in race 1. Will they do the same at the rolling start in race 2? Get some fluids on board. No time now. Here comes the green light. The Aston Martin paces the field, and look at that. Again, the Camaros and the Ginettas duking to try and get round the front row men. Marcel Nooren with a really good run, looking to go inside the Aston Martin into the first corner. 3 wide. He's got the inside line. He could come out in front. Really tight line though into the corner, and that means he's going to run wide on the exit. Yes, he does. He comes back on, but the white Ginetta, Franfil Bugliotti, he is our race leader. Up into second place is the Porsche. So Jörg Viebahn back where he started on the grid, but the poleman Erik Berends, there is the silver and chrome Aston just being shuffled down to 6th place on the opening lap. Sliding around on this hot and slippery circuit. The Ginettas, of course, going to struggle on the long straight. With the Am leader, André Grammatico gets hit by somebody. Liesette Braams shows it wasn't her. It was Luke Braams in the Camaro, her husband, that hit him. Down the long Mistral straight, Franfil Bugliotti has the lead, but the Porsche right behind will have better top speed. On board with Jörg Viebahn, and he goes by on the outside, even with the 2 chicanes. Ginetta struggling for top speed, and of course we heard the braking areas with no ABS, a little bit of a weak spot here as well. But we had 2 Ginettas in the top 3 in race 1, and they're looking very competitive again. There's the pole sitter down in 7th place now. The Aston Martin of Erik Berends, he drifts out wide. It's not the only one, but I want to avoid that. That is going to damage the tyres going over those strips. All contact. Peter Christian van Oranje hit from behind. And who's going to sneak up the inside? It's another of our Ginetta G50 Cup cars. Well, there is your race leader, Jörg Viebahn, romping away in the Porsche. He said tyre wear might be an issue for them, so might want to make as much of a lead as he can. Having a little bobble there, though. Still Franfil Bugliotti in the Ginetta in 2nd place. And the Camaro in third after that great getaway by Marcel Nooren. Pit window will be open after 25 minutes of the race. Erik Behrens, meanwhile, drifting by, getting by Bernhard van Oranje. So he picks up the place from the BMW. So the pole-sitting Aston starting to undo some of the damage that was done in the opening couple of laps. Somebody coming in perhaps for a little bit of testing. This track very busy for testing, not so much for racing. So the race leader is in. And a great opportunity now for the Porsche duo. Jörg Viebahn has handed over a leading car to Bertus Sanders. Can he take it to the checkered flag? Action here. Marcel Nooren. Whoa! Getting squeezed by the 888 car of Jesse Antilla. And through goes the red machine as well. And that's the car 14 of Alessandro Bonaccini, who we heard from earlier. Marcel Nooren in his last few laps in the car. He'll hand over to Jan Joris Verheul, the V8 Racing Chevy Camaro. Leading in the Am Class at the moment is Frenchman André Grammatico, stays in the car, driving on his own of course. Duncan Heisman, he's taken over the number 2 car from Luke Braams, climbing his way up the order. There's Grammatico, fresh out of the pits. Heisman goes through with no dramas, determined to try and put the Camaro on the podium. Big lead for Bertus Sanders in the Porsche, but he's radioed back to the team. He's struggling with brakes, so the PROsport Performance team, not much they can do while he's out on track. If he comes into the pits, then it's game over. He's going to have to struggle on. You can see they're looking a little worried there, watching the time tick away. Reginetta is Roberto Gentili. He's got Ricardo van der Ende right behind him, down the Mistral straight into the second chicane. Van der Ende shows him the nose. Oh, and without the ABS, the Ginetta just runs a little wide under braking, sort of keeps it on track and just stays in front, giving the BMW driver a great opportunity. And again, bouncing over the curbs. Oh, and facing the wrong way, that's Luca Magnoni. Loops it around, they both avoid him. Checkered flag is in sight. Searing temperatures, warm tyres, dodgy brakes. None of it is going to stop Bertus Sanders. He heads to his second win of the season, and it is the first win in GT4 European Series for a Porsche. Delighted Jörg Viebahn. They won race 2 in Misano in a Ginetta. They've won race 2 in Paul Ricard in their Porsche. The Am Class victory again went to André Grammatico, the Frenchman, winning at home in his BMW. The G50s won by a hot and sweaty solo driving Franfil Bugliotti. But our race winners are Bertus Sanders and Jörg Viebahn in their Porsche.
We've been really improving since yesterday. We had a major problem with tire temperature, so Henkel gave us the information that it's not possible to race in the specification we had for the qualifying. So we went back and lost about 2 seconds, and for the race this afternoon we said, hey, it's either win or die. If the tire explodes, it explodes. If not, we're going to win, and this is what we did. So we went back and temperatures went down a little, so it helped too. And, well, the race worked out.
2 wins in the amateur class in France have given André Grammatico an 11-point lead. We now have a tie for second, with the Porsche and Chevy Camaro duos chasing the BMW pair that lead the championship after 8 of our 12 races. The GT4 European Series title race is hotting up nicely.
And that concludes all the GT4 action from Paul Ricard circuit. Next stop, the Green Hell, also known as the Nürburgring in Germany. And that promises to be another weekend of spectacular racing. Thank you for watching today's show, and au revoir.
GT4 European Series ondersteunt Project Mine.